to Seahawks Today. I'm your host, Will Ortner, and if I'm giving you a video from home, that means there must be some pretty big news for your Seattle Seahawks. And this, of course, comes with some injury news today. Now, of course, on Sunday, you have a gigantic game against the Los Angeles Rams, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We're going to have a watch party that you do not want to miss out on. You can't be in LA, then you definitely want to hang out with the rest of the 12s of Seahawks today. We're going to have a great time partying it up, hopefully celebrating a Seahawks victory. Now, what's most important about the injury designations for your Seahawks is it was a gigantic list. I mean, shoot, even at the beginning of the week, Jaxon Smith-Njigba was on the list. Now, to be fair, that was just Mike Macdonald giving him a rest day, giving him an off day. He wasn't actually hurt. But there was a lot of worry. Were you going to be able to get Tory Horton back? Were you going to be able to get Ernest Jones back? What about Josh Jobe on the outside? What was this team going to look like going into probably your biggest game of the year, at least your biggest game of the year so far this season? And you're going to get mostly good news on today's video. Most of the guys that you were worried about being able to play, they're going to be able to play. And there's two guys that aren't going to be able to play. We're going to save them for the very end. I like to do a little bit of a compliment sandwich or good news sandwich. We'll do good news, then we'll do bad news, and then at the very end, we'll wrap it up with some even more good news for you. So we're going to start off with Ernest Jones. He's going to go into this game and be a captain. The minute that it got announced that he was a captain for your Seattle Seahawks, I knew that the Seahawks were going to have him back in action. Now, what I find interesting is what type of role will he have, because Tyrese Knight played extremely well for you in relief, basically, against the Commanders, and then against the Cardinals. I mean, shoot, DeMarcus Lawrence is the one who got all the love because he got the 2 touchdowns. Tyrese Knight is the one who caused both of those fumbles, and he played extremely well at that Mike position. Now, I'm not saying that there's going to be any Mike starting controversy. Like, that just isn't the case. Ernest Jones is your starter. He's your captain of that defense. He's your green dot. He's making all the calls. But what I wonder is you now have 3 linebackers that have played extremely well this season. Ernest Jones is your top tackle getter on the year, and he's also one of your top interception guys. When you look over at Tyrese Knight, the last 2 weeks, he's been claiming basically he wasn't healthy the entire season, or at least the beginning of the season. He's healthy now, and he's playing like it. The kid is an absolute beast. And then all Drake Thomas has done is earned more and more reps. So you have one of the best problems, I think, in the National Football League, and that's how do you get playing time for these 3 middle linebackers? I would assume that you're going to see more of that rotation over at that will spot, the way that it's been going over there. But it's a great problem to have. You're going to get Ernest Jones back. Don't be shocked, though, if you see him have maybe a few less snaps than usual. Coming off a knee injury, that can be a little bit scary. And Tyrese Knight has played extremely well. Maybe you still leave the green dot with Drake Thomas, so that way it's not a on and again off the field situation. Like if Ernest Jones is only able to get 70% of the snaps that he normally would, I think you're going to be fine because Tyrese Knight is going to be there to fill in for you. But you give the green dot to Drake Thomas, so that way he's barking out all the calls, giving all the orders in case there's some movement back and forth between those two. The other good news for you is that you're getting Josh Jobe back. Now, he missed the last game with a concussion. I don't think that really shocks anybody. He's been practicing most of the week, getting that full participation, fully ready to go. I'm excited to see him back out on the field, and I think you're going to need him in a multitude of different ways here. Now, I think the game plan for the Seahawks and Mike Macdonald and his crew is Devin Witherspoon needs to be on Puka Nacua. Like, he just has to be. Puka is fast, he's shifty, he runs great routes. Who sets up to cover him the best? Of course, that would be Devin Witherspoon. He is your star on the outside. Let him be a star. Let him shadow Puka wherever Nacua wants to go. Find a way to slow him down. I think Devin Witherspoon can. Reek Woolen, I think, matches up better with Davante Adams. Now, you can have Woolen kind of shadow him around, or if you want to keep him on their same sides, leave him on the outside. Let Devin Witherspoon deal with Nacua on the inside, because Nacua will bounce inside, outside. He's basically their version of Jaxon Smith-Njigba, of course. But I do think that Woolen matches up well against Davante Adams. He's a bigger receiver. He's a stronger receiver. But while Woolen doesn't have a ton of strength, he is great in being a lockdown corner, not letting bigger receivers get open and have space. Josh Jobe now comes in on the outside, or he can be that third type of corner for you, and I think that he can step up and perform in a major way for you in this game. So getting Josh Jobe back is going to be absolutely massive. Now, there is some bad news, and we're going to get into that in here in just a moment, but before we do, I need to let you know about the sponsor of today's video, and this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections. If your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now here's the bad news. You knew you weren't going to have Sundell. Jalen Sundell was 100% going to be out for this one. There was hope that you were going to get Tory Horton back for this game. On Wednesday, he was a limited participant in practice, made it seem like, hey, he's moving towards being able to go, being able to play. Nope, he didn't practice on Thursday. He's officially out, and their news even gets a little bit worse because head coach Mike McDonald is not only saying that Sundell, there's a room for him to possibly go on IR, there's room for Tory Horton to go on IR too. They haven't made an official announcement yet, so don't freak out. It's not all doom and gloom yet for the Seattle Seahawks, but it is important to note that that is a potential avenue for him to go. Now, the bummer for Horton is he's been dealing with a groin and shin injury, something that he suffered last week in practice. I think the most frustrating thing for Horton is it felt like he was finally starting to get his traction going, getting his feet wet, starting to figure it out. And he's shown that he can be a big play threat at a moment's notice. I mean, already having a punt return as a rookie for a touchdown, that's gigantic. He's got 13 catches on the year. 5 of them are touchdowns. So it's clear that he is a magnet for the end zone, and the Seahawks want to use him in that way. Unfortunately, if you're bouncing in and out of the lineup consistently hurt, I don't know that the Seahawks are going to be able to use you as much as they might possibly want to. Now, you might be looking at yourself saying, Will, you said you were going to give us some good news, then you were going to give us some bad news, then you were going to give us some good news. What's the other good news? Well, the good news is that you have Rashid Shaheed. And what Kubiak showed us in that first week against the Arizona Cardinals is that he can fill a role that I think you were hoping him and Tory Horton could kind of balance each other out in, or Horton could be like a minor version of that. But now that Shaheed trade by Schneider looks even bigger. Like at the time, it was, hey, that's awesome. You went out, you got a big, deep play threat. This is great for the Seahawks. They're going to be able to make big moves and have big play possibilities basically consistently throughout the year. Now that Horton isn't there for you, it's even bigger that you have Rashid Shaheed, and I think that you're going to see him used more and more in this game because he's had more time to practice with everybody. Him and Sam Darnold are getting more on the same page, and he's getting more of that lingo down that Clint Kubiak is using. So yes, it sucks that you're losing Horton, but I do think that Rashid Shaheed not only can match the production that you were expecting to get out of him himself, but you're going to get even more, and he's going to be able to make up for some of what you're losing in touchdowns and production in Tory Horton. I also think it's important to notice and to mention Cooper Kupp is going to be a captain in this game as well. You know he's going to want to show out against his former ball club, so don't be shocked if he picks up some of the slack there as well. We're going to keep our fingers crossed here. Hopefully Horton doesn't end up on IR. Are you nervous about the game on Sunday? Now that you know what the deal is for all your Seattle Seahawks, are you nervous? Let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Thank you guys for all tuning in and hanging out. And I'll catch you guys next time.